What is up, everybody? Good morning and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing a 10 murder row, just continuing on with doing some Mythic plus commentaries for the new season. Ski isn't anything crazy, but we're farming some gear, getting some good practice in. So we'll try and kind of explain what we're doing, what we're thinking the whole time, and I will leave my talents in the build below if you feel like this build is something you want to try out. We're going to be playing an Aldrachi Reaver today. It's felt super good as far as being super tanky without that much gear. So going to get this first gather with a Bloodlust. Any stops can go into these mages. These fell missiles are just more annoying than anything. And then we're going to make sure to get this bribed guard down as quick as possible. He does have a mountain of health. And as everything is going to die, I would ordinarily chain this, but I do want to drop combat just so we can get this first snitch interrogated over on the side of our screen. So our healer goes and gets that done, and then we will go down here, rip a kick on the mage so that he follows us a little bit better, grab these two street sneaks over here, grab all the hooligans in this area, make sure that we can stabilize, and then grab the mages that are inside that building, line of sighting them out the door. Go ahead and get the gather as everything else gets up the stairs. And I should have probably used a sigil of chains earlier here, but our monk is very helpful in just getting everything knocked into place. And there's the sigil of chains just to get everything pixel stacked. Probably should have run silent sigil for this just because these missiles are kind of annoying, but with enough stops from Chaos Nova and that sort of thing, we are good to go. I also just want to make sure some of this dies just because these mobs kind of hit the tank hard, and 3 mages and that sort of thing gets a little bit chaotic. So should have opened up this second door to get the fell worm as we were finishing up this pull a little bit sooner, but just wanted to make sure that I was being safe because didn't have as much confidence in my ability to live because my gear is still a little bit not statted as I would want it to. So, but the fell worm dies without too much issue, and then these will be the second 2 snitches that we need to interrogate for the dungeon. Nothing too crazy about those pulls either. Not any insane mechanics, just a good amount of tank damage from those the hooligans, and yeah, and just kicks and stops wherever you can. So I make sure to go into this room. We're going to try and skip that patrol that is outside. Going to drop a little bit low here, but I still know I have my cheat, so we're kind of thinking we're going to intentionally do it. But someone actually ends up pulling the captain, I believe, in this run. Can't remember exactly. Never mind, this is the one that we don't pull the captain. But yeah, skip the patrol outside, get everything all gathered up in here. Make sure the seduction is kicked. Those syads are going to be the one thing that you really need to kick. The felonious mages, we can kind of just let those missiles channel because they're not doing too much damage anyway. As you can see, using stops on the seduction, and this pull goes down pretty easily. Just making sure to prioritize using Fracture. If you've never played Vengeance Demon Hunter before, or you are thinking about doing it, just prioritize Fracture. You'll be fine. That is really the only thing to do in this spec. There's guides out there to play it differently, but that was kind of the main thing that helped me kind of figure out how to play it. So our rogue rips a distract on the patrol, so we don't have to worry about him interfering. And we will get right into Kistia Manahard here, that first boss. Waiting for the healer to get into the room, ripping a trinket just to make sure we don't get bricked right off the rip while we set up some defensive capabilities. And our rogue does rip cooldowns on nibbles, which is nice because someone does have to rip cooldowns on nibbles. Your whole group can't just save cooldowns for the burn phase, even though it is a lot more fun. We'll go ahead and rip a Fear Sigil over onto the mob on the side there, help out with the interrupts. Those should be interrupted as soon as humanly possible. You can use pretty much any form of CC on those. Kicks, interrupts, stuns, imprison works, chains works, that sort of thing. So help your group out as much as you can. Make sure that your healer doesn't have to do a whole lot. And then right around 18% is when nibbles will change, 18 to 20%. I've seen him phrase it a lot of different percents. So, and then we will rip absolutely everything and start blasting into Kistia here. She'll take increased damage, do some pulsing AoE. Healer just needs to be ready for that, but pretty much always going to be a 2-phase here, especially when you're getting a little bit higher in the key levels. And then we'll just kind of rinse and repeat. We'll go ahead and take out Nibbles here, making sure to dodge that cone. And these Chaos Barrages, if you are thinking about using defensives as a tank, that's kind of when you want to time them. If you're trying to absorb a hit, we'll get a nice fat sigil chains there and interrupt 3 of those images. And we are good. But yeah, if you wanna use any kind of personals or anything like that, Nibbles doesn't really hit super hard. It's really just these Chaos Barrages. As you can see, they kind of hit me and my health will drop a little bit. So there'll be a couple different examples, but those are the things that you really want to be aware of. And there we go. We'll have the destabilize again. And we'll take out Kistia here, absolutely destroying her during this burn phase. Going to start making our way over here to the disguise. We'll make sure to put that on before we go into this room. And then we will pray for a good job on this at this restaurant here. So wait for everyone to get up these stairs. I think the worst job in here is genuinely the food distribution, just because I don't know, it's just difficult. There's 2 people doing it. There's a lot of overlap. There's a lot of running back and forth. So I just get to bounce patrons here. We'll go ahead and kick that. And this should go very, very quickly. If everyone is doing their job, it definitely should go a lot quicker than that full 1 minute and 30-second timer. As you can see, we are making some serious headway here. We are restaurant professionals. Kick one more rowdy patron to the curb. And there we go. You know, we are doing well. And this damage buff will kind of last you for the main hard part of the dungeon. And as you can see, we finished the shift with plenty of time to spare. And right here, I tell my healer to go ahead and open the door. He just runs through all the mobs, which was a bit, I was like, what are we doing? He just runs through all the mobs, and my gather gets a little bit messed up. I would want to take that a little bit earlier, but or slower, I should say. So I end up popping meta just to make sure, because these warehouse workers actually do quite a bit of damage to the tank. As you can see, I'm in meta here, and I'm just getting hammered. Our monk rips a million DPS here, and we take those out pretty quick, and we'll get a good amount of funnel into Zane as well. Thing with this boss is when these orange circles come out, you just want to make sure one person blows up the poison cask. Don't really need to worry about anything else. As long as one person does that, you are golden. You are all good. You are chilling. So really just concerned about that poison cask. And then here, just hide behind one, and then make sure someone blows up that poison one as well. And there you have it. That is really just the fight. Rinse and repeat. Tanks will get hit a little bit hard here. He does reduce your maximum health pool, so that can feel a little bit scary. But just going to do our same upkeep. Just keep using Fracture on cooldown, using our Throw Glaive and Fracture Soul Cleave combo, that sort of thing. And then always trying to make sure that we are in a position where if our melee end up getting these orange circles and one of them has to do the green barrel, that we do that. Making sure that we are positioning the boss in a way where the melee will still be able to hit that, even if they need to soak that barrel. I will go ahead and go to this one over here, and we'll make sure we get all the barrels all dealt with. There is probably a way to move him where there's minimal movement when you're coming back, but either way, we have a good damage increase on this fight. I see that the orange circle goes on our healer again, so I'm not really going to move the boss at all. I'm just going to let our melee kind of sit on him. We're all sitting in a pretty safe spot, and I'm just going to plant because I have an orange circle on me. Don't want to move around too much and risk sniping someone or making someone move unnecessarily. So we'll just stay put, go ahead and finish the boss, and get into the back 9 of the dungeon. Go ahead and make our way up these stairs. I try and be slick and do a quick 5 count here, and then run forward so you don't get stunned, but you do still get stunned. So I think it's like a slow 5 count or about a 6 count, and then you can step forward without getting stunned, something like that. We'll go ahead and chuck a glaive at these Shivan Punishers. Grab everything else, grab the Demon Flies. And here we go. Get everything gathered here. And I have seen people go kind of do this a couple different ways, pull the same sort of amount of trash here. We also pop Bloodlust, which is our second Bloodlust of the dungeon. And I go ahead and grab the Warlock just because we do have Bloodlust available. So this was a little bit sus. I think the Shivan Punishers are pretty scary with this Warlock if you don't have them low. Like this one doesn't last very long after we pop Lust, so I'm just trying to make sure that we get a ton of value out of our Bloodlust usage, especially because we still have the damage buff from the Restaurant Shift. But yeah, we have Bloodlust going, and this Warlock, I just want to make sure he dies before we go any further in this dungeon. Those Dooms are really, really annoying. He will put those curses on people, just that circle, as you can see kind of in the back there. It's on the Hunter. We definitely want to make sure we soak those, so I bring all the mobs over here. If that does go off and nobody's soaking it, it usually one-shots someone, and if they die, then they summon a Doomguard, and then you have to just kill a whole nother Doomguard, which is kind of wild. So go ahead and get a gather here. This was a little bit of a sloppy gather, but make sure to interrupt these health funnels. So we're using Leg Sweep, Chaos Nova, that sort of thing. Want to save Hard Kicks for Seduction, and I actually have to use my Imprison there because I used pretty much all of my CC trying to do the gather, which was probably not a good idea. Kind of forgot that guy was there, if I'm being honest. And then this is where I make a little bit of a mistake. These Shivan Punishers actually start pulsing some AoE when they're lower on health, and the Blade Dance does quite a bit of damage, as you can see from the mini boss right here. So this gets a little bit sketchy, and there's going to be a lot more healing that's going out here than needs to go out. So I wasn't going to post this just because it's kind of like a bad thing to do. Like, don't do this. But it is good to show you what can happen, what will happen, that sort of thing. And I do actually, I think, end up dying here, if I remember correctly. But yeah, these Shivan Punishers really need to die. They just absolutely crank. I actually end up popping my cheat death there, and my health is just not going up. It's just not going up. And I just end up dying. So we'll get B-resed here, and luckily we're able to finish off the mini boss. But that was just not a good, just not good. As you can see, that pull can get very, very scary when those Punishers aren't taken care of. So do not do that. I figured it would be a good learning experience for everybody because it's kind of limit testing in some of these earlier keys. Here we are going to make sure that we position the boss on the side of the room and use our send our Legion strikes over to the side. Everyone else kind of can be in like a loose stack on melee, especially because we don't want to do what this Hunter did and just stand over on the side and have the axe be thrown at you right into the middle of the room, so we have to kind of fully relocate. And there we go. We'll get a kind of spread out for the AoE here, and then we'll get another Legion strike. He's going to hit me, and then unfortunately, as you can see, he was kind of hard to move there, so he's just sitting in the middle with a Demonic Rage. I try and meta, but it is too late. I'm not going to be able to stay alive, so I just end up bottoming out. We'll go ahead and get B-res. We'll taunt the boss, get a Fiery Brand on him, so it should be relatively safe, but I just bottom out there, and there's nothing there. So we end up using pretty much the entire room. As you can see, the whole room basically fills up. So I'm going to try and send these Legion strikes over to the side. And yeah, this boss does end up hitting pretty hard, but a little bit of a weird positioning thing. I couldn't hit the boss for a while, so I think I was down on soul shards for a bit. Not soul shards, you know what I'm trying to say. So yeah, I think it was just not good. Shouldn't have bottomed out like that, but still able to use the remaining space effectively. This is going to be what the situation looks like on higher keys anyway, so we're going to save our Fiery Brand for this phase and then try and move the boss very, very little just enough to where our melee can still hit him, but making sure that we conserve the remaining space of the room. As you can see, you can do that phase without using a whole lot of space. It just faded and we hardly used any space in the room. So gonna move him a little bit more so that when he uses his Legion Strike, I have a little bit of a corner to go and our team can stay safe. Should have moved him a little bit more there too, just to make sure they were just even safer, but... And there we go. We'll kill him before that last axe toss. This is probably worst case situation, but again, this will be a run where you guys can see what not to do to some degree. We'll grab this golem over here. And these golems are kind of the worst thing ever. So do as few of these as you possibly can. There is a few of them that you have the option of pulling in this last area. We'll go ahead and pop Darkness for this first Defiled Slam. Obviously dodge these circles, but as you can see, it does take pretty hard as far as just the slam unavoidable damage. So any kind of mitigation should be used on that. These Fell Beams don't really do anything as long as you're moving. Just don't step in your own pools and you should be good. Move everything a good amount away from where we just put all the stuff on the ground. Making sure to give our melee plenty of room to work since we are rocking 2 of them this key. And again, you can see how much damage that slam does. The Wrathguard Flayers don't really need to, kick those when you can, if you can, that sort of thing, but haven't ever really had an issue with these. Make sure to get my Fury of the Aldrachi off on those before I go ahead and grab these imps. And then we're going to, of course, drag all the melee to the ranged, because that is just a good general rule of thumb. Don't try and bring all the imps to your pack, just bring everything to the imps, because they're impossible to move. Unless you have Silent Sigil, it's going to be pretty rough. Make sure this Invoker dies, because he's going to be the only one that's going to cast and be a little bit harder to move. We'll go ahead and kick him, and then we'll go into this next imp pack, again, dragging all the melee into the ranged. Rip a Chaos Nova to make sure these imps aren't casting too many of these Fellfire Blasts, even though they don't hit super hard at all. And we'll go ahead and finish off these Flayers. And these guys you can just kind of drag around. They're not going to do anything too crazy. They'll do a little bit extra damage and be immune to CC, but not going to be too much to worry about. I'm not worried about dying to them or anything like that. Even though I was a little bit worried about dying after just bottoming out on the boss like I did before. But doing this pull by itself, nothing too crazy. Same sort of thing. The Warlock is going to put that Curse of Doom. As you can see on our healer, he's just going to kind of walk into melee because most of our team is melee. We will be able to soak that nice and clean for him. Not going to do too much damage. Should be able to live that and not summon a Doom Guard, which is always lovely. And then that Drain Life cast is a bit scary, so we want to make sure that we're using personals on that. I believe it gives them a shield, I think, based on the amount of damage that they do too. Correct me if I'm wrong, but even more reason to use a personal on that Drain Life cast. As you can see, the Hunter is taking quite a bit of damage because he is being targeted by that. And we are going to... I'm actually short on count here, which I'm not entirely sure what I missed as we were going through, but that is something that we will solve after the key is over. Still got plenty of time on the clock, even with a couple missteps here. I'm going to rip a Chaos Nova to interrupt the health funnels. And again, if you're going to use personals here, definitely make sure that you use them for the slam. Everything else in this pull is not going to do a whole lot. Kicks on the invokers, interrupts on the invokers, that sort of thing. And then I'm going to try and drag the Defiled Golem over here. Don't want to drag him too far because I have had a couple groups where they body pulled the other golems on the side. It's a golem and 2 punishers. Those ones over there. You definitely do not want to pull those. Those are the worst thing in the world. Do not ever do those count. Like there's no way. There's no version of this dungeon where you are ever pulling those. So try and be careful on this bridge. You don't want to body pull those. And as you can see, I'm 2% short, but that's okay. That's just 1 pack of imps right at the end there. And we will be good to go. So we'll go ahead and step up and trigger the RP. I definitely could have done that a little bit earlier as well. You can trigger this right ahead of time. And boss is going to spawn. And this is where having a Blood Decay or a VDH actually really does come in handy. So don't quite have Lust up yet, but I like to drag the boss a little bit to the side so I don't have to move too much here. Kick any Chaos Bolts that you can, and then loose spread for a kind of tight stack for these. We'll go ahead and get a chains here, pixel stack the Wild Imps, and absolutely delete them. Then we will kind of position ourselves over to the side and drag the Vile Fiend over here too. You want to kind of make a triangle between the Infernal, you, and the portal, in my experience. And then as soon as the wave goes off, jump forward, take the portal, and then do this. You don't want to position the Infernal between the portal and the boss because he will melee you even while you're in the portal animation. So he can just beat the crap out of you as you're flying to the boss here. So, and we'll try and do something similar the second time around as well. Won't have Silent Sigil or Sigil of Chains, which is another thing that I definitely wish I would have brought to this dungeon, but that is a-okay. Kicking any Chaos Bolts that we can. And then once the Vile Fiend comes out, you definitely want to prioritize this. We'll do a little bit of a stack for these Goldanians. Get a nice Feldev to pull aggro. And then as you can see, again, we are dragging the Infernal out of its path, making kind of a steep triangle here, waiting for that Malefic Wave to go off. We're going to jump over here to the side, grab the portal, and then start targeting the boss. So just kind of a rinse and repeat. Just keep following that pattern. The Infernal is off in Narnia, so he's not going to be a problem for a very long time. And I'm going to cut the video after this boss actually does die, because we just kind of go across the bridge, grab a couple imps, kill those, and we time the key. As you can see, not going to be an issue on time for this one. So if you like the video, like it, subscribe. Hopefully going to get a lot more content this season going out. So hope you guys enjoyed, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.